Beautiful. So just sitting out here enjoying the summer rains. It's or fall rains. It's not quite fall yet, but anyway, I love this area. I mean, I love the rain. I lived in Portland for a while, all the way across the US, and I loved it there because of the constant rains. And although the humidity here is extremely hard to get used to, I love the rains. But I decided this morning, as much as I love like talking all about insulin resistance and all of that, I kind of want to just chill with you guys this morning. I will tell some stories. I would love to hear stories from you guys about what's happening in your lives, what you might need answers for instead of me just like giving information out to you. Um, yeah, my life is so much different. Yesterday I was talking about how like I'm doing a lot to get my health back, you guys, and I will talk a lot about insulin resistance because it's just I have a one-track mind. But insulin resistance really was destroying my life, my health, my everything, and I'm getting it back. Like the system that I use, the protocol that I use helps, but there was so much damage to my body. I had 3 joint replacements. I couldn't get up and down off the floor. And so now, having lost my gallbladder and doing some study with that, I'm starting to understand that, which makes sense when you hear about it, right? That if you've lost your gallbladder, there's already a lot of damage to your liver. So I've been doing a lot of extra steps to help my liver back to health. And part of that is I do a red light therapy bed 3 to 5 times a week. Now, my bed is, on the floor, so I don't put it up on the bed, I just put it on the floor, and, 3 to 5 days a week, I get up, I get in that bed, and I do my meditations while I'm sweating in this red light bed, but what was coming to my mind was just the fact that, like, 2 years ago, I would have never even considered doing that. I was in so much pain that I couldn't even imagine getting up and down off the floor, much less doing it several times a week just for my health. So, why I'm here talking about stuff, you guys, is because we're suffering from so many things. And I just kind of want to know, I don't have my chat open over here, if there's anything that you guys want me to tell you, if there's anything you need to know, if there's anything you want to share. I'm sure that everybody else has had their share of stories too. Like, the stories about going to the doctors and not getting really good answers. And again, I'm not here to, if you will, bastardize the doctors. I think that they're overwhelmed and that there has been this misunderstanding and more getting educated about, hey Karen, about this thing called insulin resistance and why it's so important to take care of it. But I've found that we all have to be a bit more self-aware about our health and understanding what is happening to us. It's not just a random, I have a headache now and again, and then my hands and feet are going numb, or I have these weird body aches and pains all the time. I used to say, when it came to my energy, I used to say that it felt like somebody stuck a vacuum cleaner to my belly button and just sucked all my energy out from the inside out. And I would tell doctors that, I would tell people that. I was like, this is not my wheelhouse, right? This is not where my knowledge is. Help me out. I'm trying to just like I am big for analogies. So I do a lot of that, you guys. And come to find out that the subconscious mind works better with analogies anyway. So I would say things like that, or like after I ate, I would feel just chilled, and I would say it felt like somebody poured a bucket of cold water over my head. And then I would get fatigued and tired, and nobody could explain to me why this was happening. And it was because of my blood sugars were out of whack and the insulin was out of whack. So when we talk about the fact that blood sugars and whatnot really, or the insulin resistance, I don't know why I'm saying whatnot a lot lately, but why insulin resistance is when we're saying that it links into almost everything, there's just a lot of truth to that. It doesn't matter what you're suffering from today. If it's not a genetic marker or a viral infection, or like you went out and broke a bone, it's likely that it's linked to this thing called insulin resistance, and our food environment has just been making us sick. So I want people to start feeling better. I want people to know that you don't have to live like this. It doesn't have to be like this. And I share my stories not because I need any kind of recognition, but because I'm hoping that when I share my stories, somebody else is going to understand that this is what their life is like too. And that my hair is all crazy this morning. It's Sunday morning. And that they can get some help from understanding what may be happening with them if they're not getting help like what was happening with me. So, um, again, I'm not here to bastardize the medical community. I feel like their hands are full. And when we have something as broad sweeping as insulin resistance and people are coming in sick, it's hard to decide what really is the problem. So that's why I always say let's get rid of the insulin resistance first, and then if that clears up most of the stuff, yay. And if there's still something left after that, then we can attack what's going on there. Not me, but the doctors and everybody. You guys be as self-aware as you can. Start paying attention to. I don't want people to be hypochondriacs, right? That's not the point. But I used to have to, and I started doing this a long time ago. I would be like, okay, I'm going to go into the doctor and I'm just going to write down everything that's going on because I know it's all got a link and somehow they're going to figure it out. And so I did that for years. And then nobody was taking that list, though. A few doctors, I would have some things, they'd be like, well, this, and this are all linked to this. But very few actually did. And so what I found is that most of that list that I had links into insulin resistance, and that's why I started addressing that. So, yeah, insulin resistance is huge. And all right, I don't even know what to talk about this morning. I just woke up in a really good mood because it's raining outside and I wanted to hop on for a little bit and talk to people and let you guys know there is help out there. It doesn't have to be so drastic. One of the things that always befuddle, where did that word come from this morning? One of the things that always befuddles me is when people will say, well, this all sounds like me, but I'm going to wait to go talk to my doctor. If your food is making you sick, unless the doctor's going to write you a nutritional plan or hand you food, what do you suppose they're going to do for you? What do you suppose? After they haven't been able to do anything all this time, why would you not just start addressing the fact that our food is imperfect and get that put back into your system? It's disheartening to me to see how dependent we've become on everyone else for our answers instead of being able to do some critical thinking and decide. And you know what? When people want to go to my website and read, when people want to just hang out for a while so they can better understand, I totally value that. Like, get the information that you need to be as well informed as you can be for you, but just be open to it. And you may decide to go a different route than me. You may decide that what I have to say is a bunch of bunk. That's fine as long as you're doing some critical thinking and figuring stuff out for yourself. So when what is on everybody's mind this morning? What does everybody else want to talk about? Has anybody else been having problems that health problems they just can't seem to figure out? What are they? I'd love to know, and I can maybe help you understand what is linked to what is not. I cannot diagnose anybody, cannot tell anybody for sure this is going to happen or not happen for you. I can tell you that we could all get better nutrition into our bodies, but it's almost impossible in this environment we have today. So Lucy says, "Hey, Lucy." Yeah, she said, "So happy you've been able to get your life back. She works with frequencies. Just did a booth at the Coeur d'Alene Mall. Seeing people walk around, realize how many people have lost their health. Yeah, it's crazy, and I love that you're doing work with frequencies because I mean, on the backside, like I love the protocol I did. I still do to this day. It's a piece of my health and wellness regimen, right? Like some people will be like, "Oh no, just this protocol is all you need." I don't agree. I think health is a holistic approach, and so This is addressing the food that's imperfect in our system and helping us boost, if you will, boost the food back to where it should be. But I don't think that it's the only thing. Like getting exercise is important. It's raining out. I love the rain. You guys, I will put a jacket on because I'm not going to go get totally soaked, but I want to go take a walk in the rain. Now, those walks are part of it too, because it's mind and body that's getting worked. You guys, we need to take care of ourselves. We've been so shut in. And I found when I moved to Maryland, it had already started when I was still in Idaho and Washington, that I was starting to be more and more shut in just because I was working so hard and trying to get everything going that and I'm ADD and autistic. So I sit at my desk a lot. I get hyper focused, but it's really important to take those breaks and get out and, connect. Like just getting some sunlight in the day is important. Getting some fresh air is important. Sitting in the chairs, Lucy, you probably know some of this stuff, but like again, some of the things that I recognize, I'm just like, well, why didn't you think about that before? But sitting, you guys can disrupt a whole number of things in our day, in our bodies. It can disrupt your lymphatic flow. So getting up and moving and not just sitting where you're pinching the flow of lymph off, is important. So just move. And because we're sitting, right? We're folded up this way most of the day. We need to have points in the day where we actually get up, stretch, and maybe move a little bit hyperactively the opposite way just to get everything moving, stretched back out, and balanced. So, there's so much to our health, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Just take it in little pieces. But yeah, do the best you can for your health. But you know, you have to be very self-aware and understand, hey, this is hurting today, or that feels tight, or ooh, that food didn't sit right with me, or that food made me feel really good, right? Like I'm becoming more and more aware of the foods that I eat that really keep me full longer, have me feeling more energy in the day, less of the gastrointestinal disturbances that I used to have all the time. Um, it was embarrassing, by the way. But I think, yeah, just be self-aware. Learn as much as you can about your body and what's happening with your body so you can make the best choices for you. And if you don't know, then lean into people who may know. So I'm going to talk about that too, because with that, then there's all of this information out there, right? Everybody's screaming their own side of the story. You'll hear some people say you have to do vegetarian. Some people say no, the only way is carnivore. Some people will say all you can do is eat fruit, or it's insane. So we're all a little bit genetically different. Okay, so you got to pay attention to your body and how it's reacting. Just because person A says carnivore works for me and that's what changed my life, if you try carnivore and it's not making you feel vibrant and healthy, don't do it. Just like if you say somebody's doing vegetarian and they're like, this is the only way, right? This is the only way you can live is to do vegetarian, and you try it and you just don't feel as vital, then don't do it. Find the way that fits for your body and then just make sure that you're getting in the nutrition you need. So, I've heard some people say we don't need fiber. I For me, I disagree. I feel like adding a complete complex of fiber specifically to bring down my blood sugars was a game changer for me. I feel like it's helped my gut microbiome clean up as well as just my health all the way around. So I can't help it. I can't help it. When your gut microbiome is off, you're going to have a decrease in immunity. Okay. So I want you guys to think about it. No, the gut does not produce immune cells, but when the gut is unhealthy, as in having too many negative gut bacteria and whatnot, it it starts to get unhealthy, and those immune cells, 70% of them are housed in your gut, can't survive and can't thrive and can't do the job that it's meant to do to keep you healthy. So if you're having lots of colds and flus and things, you're just susceptible to being ill all the time, then you got to take a look at what's going on down there in the gut, because that's that's very likely affecting the entirety of your health. So, yeah, that's why the the protocol that I use, the fibers that I use have definitely helped me with that. In fact, here's a story. I was just sitting out in the rain on my porch, which is an amazing thing for me. You guys, I don't talk about it a lot, but for a little over a year, I basically lived in a hallway. Um, as I was trying to get things going in my life back and all of that. And I didn't really move a lot because it was on a second story and going up and down stairs was still painful. But I had problems with memory and thought a couple of years ago. I couldn't remember people's names. I couldn't remember spaces. I couldn't remember a lot of things. So a family member wrote me this morning and said, "Hey, what was that apartment you lived in during this time period?" I'm like, "I've moved so many times, but you know what? I was able to recall that apartment number. First, it was the street, and then it was the apartment number, and then it was like, you know, it just all came back." I'm like, how in the heck, like 6 different moves since then and different addresses, am I able to remember that at 60? Because I got my insides healthy, and that's made a huge difference in my cognitive function as well. So, all right, guys, I'm just out here rapping this morning. I, oh, you know what? I'm going to talk about. Good morning, Isela. I over on Facebook, I made a post earlier yesterday, and it's thank you everybody who has commented on that. But I'm planning a trip to Turkey, and it's been just amazing to think about that. One of the things, and anybody who knows me knows I get hyper fixated, hyper focused. When I have a task, I can't get over it till I have it all planned out. That's my personality. So I've mentioned to my daughter, hey, it's about time to buy our tickets. The whole trip has been paid for except for our tickets, and like what activities are we doing, and we're going to go for a couple extra days. So I've been in this whole mode of trying to plan how to get from Istanbul down to Antalya because there's no direct flights to Antalya. And anyway, so we're thinking about taking a train, or I'm thinking about taking a train from Istanbul down to Antalya. Maybe taking an extra day because the train ride is about 13 hours to take the trek from one side of Turkey to the other. But uh, I'm just really happy that I get to do this. Okay, Isela. Can I drink my Unimate with your greens and Oasis all together? Um, are you doing that in the morning? I don't see why you can't, Asela. I do it differently though, because I'm doing I don't see why you can't. And the Oasis and the Unimate, actually, they taste really great together. So I usually do the greens, the Oasis, and my Bone Fortify at night before bed. But that's just me. There's nothing that says you can't do that Oasis or the greens in the morning. Neither one of them have anything in them that should be spiking your insulin. So that's the big part. You guys, when we're talking about an intermittent fast, for thank you, Isela, for these purposes, what we're talking about is keeping the insulin levels down. So that's why I have my ketone testers on the other side of my monitor right now. Here's another one. Because I'm a nut, I have 2 of them. So I usually use my ketone tester to check those things. What you could do is Zayla, but you know what? I think I only have one Oasis left. I need to get more. You could also, if you don't have a ketone tester, if I can try it tomorrow morning. Um, why I use the ketone tester for my fast is if we have ketones in our system, it means that insulin has gone to sleep, basically. Okay. So as the ketones are rising, it means we are keeping that insulin level down. The minute we eat something that's spiking our insulin, our ketone levels are going to drop. So how I've done it in the past, Isela, and I can try to remember to do that. I might be able to even do it this morning, is I'll test my ketones, and I'm drinking my tea now, but I can mix up another one and add in the greens and the Oasis and see what it does to my ketones, and then we'll have a for sure answer. But I don't see why there's any reason you can't have it during your fasting period, because again, it's not spiking the insulin. And so that's the biggest key. So when you're in the fasting period, for our purposes, we're trying to keep the insulin levels down. So anything that spikes it is going to break our fast for these purposes, right? So we want to be really clear about what we're doing with intermittent fasting when we're talking about insulin resistance. There's so many different types of fasting and purposes, and the 16-8 fast is really great. So Isela, I have had 3 or 4 teas in a day. Like, look, especially when I have to sit down and listen to a lecture and I can't just freely get up, or I'm listening to the same thing and I'm not having my ADD moments, I need that mental clarity, right? So I will have multiple teas. It's just food. So as long as you can tolerate it, as far as the caffeine, which there's not a lot, and the adaptogens in the caffeine definitely change the way it reacts in your body. I never have a problem sleeping afterward. Um, so the ketone tester, let's take a look, you guys, because the one that I use, if we go to over on, I'm going to have to go through all of this. Oh, I didn't, you guys bear with me on YouTube and Facebook. So if you go to my profile on YouTube or Facebook and find the link, it'll take you to my, or here on Linktree, or you'll just click on this link up here. Let me see if I can get this to do it this morning. And maybe not, because I think I don't have it up in the right place. Oh, so anyway, there is a my recommendations tab on my Linktree, and the ketone tester that I use is in there. Now, when we're talking about ketone testers, again, you guys, I want you to understand that breath ketones can be okay, all right, in the beginning. Urine ketones, I just don't trust those for ketone levels. But what I do is the blood ketone. That's going to give you the most accurate reading of what your ketones are actually doing. So it's just a really simple little finger prick. All of this comes together. So you get your lancets, the tester strips, and a reader, and all of that. So that's what I do if I'm going to test my ketones, which I do several times a week, just to make sure that I'm still getting into a ketosis state before I start eating every day. And if my ketones are low, it means I've been eating too much of those carbohydrates, right? It doesn't have to be this difficult. This is just the way my mind works. So yeah, you can find that ketone tester. Just go to my profile link, and then go towards the bottom. It will say my recommendations, and the ketone tester I use is in there. Crazy thing, I am going to talk about the products a little bit. So the tea she's talking about is the tea I'm drinking right now, and it's giving us energy, mental clarity in the morning, helps shut down hunger by allowing you to burn your own fat for fuel. So it doesn't break our fast for our purposes. It actually supports it and helps us go further into ketosis by helping with ketone production. And so that's not just helping with weight loss, that's helping with, like I said, your mental clarity, energy, reduction of inflammation. I'm just making sure I got all your questions answered. And then, so I've done, just out of curiosity, I've done some tests with the tea. I've done some tests where I added the normal tea that we have and our matcha tea that we have mixed. By the way, if you haven't done this, this is a great flavored drink. It's called a Una Matcha Bomb, and this has a lot of metabolism and antioxidant properties in it as well. Ceremonial grade chai oka tea. So I mix these two together. I've tested that. It doesn't break it. I've had the pre-meal drink during my fasting hours, and it actually helps the fast. By Dr. Bickman said, I have to go back and listen to exactly what he said, because I need to get that straight in my head. But it has to do with something with gut enzymes kicking up to deal with the fibers that kicks up more ketones and allows the body to get further into a ketosis state. So if I'm super hungry or just feeling like I need something to make it through, sometimes the tea is always great. but a lot of times I'll have an extra balance just to kind of like soothe my stomach, help me feel a little bit full, especially if I'm trying to go for a longer fast. And it's crazy to me that it didn't break my fast. And I asked Dr. Bickman about that when I got to meet him in person. Fangirl moment. Like he probably is like, what? There was a lot of fan men in the room that day. But I asked him about my theory about why I test ketones in the morning when I'm doing my fasts and stuff, which I have a little bit of random stuff in the fridge to eat up, and then I'm going to do an extended fast again. I just feel like it's time. But I asked him about, my theories about why I test my ketones and all that, and he agreed. He was like, "Whoa, wow." So yeah, you guys, when you have insulin present, your ketones are going to go down. That's why ketosis is important, because ketosis is a clue that your glucagon, the component hormone to insulin, is actually out doing its job. It's a clue, right? So I love playing with those numbers and testing it out and seeing what can happen. Um, Anybody who's interested in the system, by the way, just go to the profile on any page you're on. Click on the links. It'll take you there. It's tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before I eat anything. Isela, I have done the detox kit as well. I'm going to do something here and see if I can get this. So I do the detox about twice a year now, because I just feel like at 59, with all the stuff that has gone on in my life, there we are. Now I can do this, you guys. Now I can do it. I just feel like I need the extra help to get some of the sludge, if you will, out of my system. So, all right. This, if you're interested in anything, the ketone tester, the watch I wear, any of the stuff, the books I read, they're all good. I'm going to show you. So you go to my profile on TikTok, find the red lights, and click on the link right below there. I didn't get my YouTube and Facebook pulled up, but you'll find the links on those as well. That's going to get you to this page. So you'll see, I think I have the detox up now. And I'll talk about that. The Bio Reishi FX, by the way, I love it as a coffee alternative, reishi and coffee. But my recommendations right down here: the ketone tester, the books, the stuff I'm using to help with my no gallbladder issue, all of that's here. Cleanse is right here, the detox. Okay, so the detox, let's talk about that. I do it about twice a year because I want to clean everything up, right? And the first time I did it, it was pretty horrifying what happened, what came out of my body. Thank you, Azela. I was shocked. I was shocked by the stuff that came out of my body. And because I have that weirdo scientific mind, I watched every day. I don't now, but I do the cleanse. I just finished 2 months of cleanse. Again, partly because I know that my liver has taken a hit because I was so insulin resistant for so long and nobody caught it. I know that there's a lot of just gunk. It's just like, I'm going to equate it to a car, right? Like you drive a car for a long time and eventually you've got to do some cleaning, right? Gunk builds up in all the lines, in all the cylinders, all the stuff. So you've got to get that gunk cleaned out. And I know that I feel better and better and better when I do it. I know that my gut health, my bathroom habits, because I had severe uncontrolled IBS and a little diverticulitis and a number of other things going on. The diverticulitis can't be helped, but not from this. Anyway, it's all so much better. I've had so many other people who just with the system itself feel better from their Crohn's and gastroparesis. But I'm just going to say, if you've gotten to the point where you have IBS, Crohn's, any of that, your gut's pretty unhealthy and we need to start getting it rebalanced. The cleanse helps with that. So what I do with the cleanse, it is intense. I'm going to tell you what I usually say is I try to start the cleanse if I was still in a work outside of home situation, I would start the cleanse like on a Thursday. Usually you don't see a lot go on that day. Friday, you're starting to feel something, but Saturday and Sunday can be pretty intense. Okay. As your body starts going, whoa, we're getting rid of this. So gastroparesis is actually a symptom of insulin resistance, by the way. So get the insulin resistance under control and the gastroparesis can start to get better. It's a little trickier, right? But you can do it. So I after my gallbladder, not because of insulin, but because of just function with the gallbladder, and that's why I started adding bile salts and enzymes. I was starting to lean towards gastroparesis just as a function of not having a gallbladder anymore. But all of it does link back into insulin resistance. So super important to keep the nasty oils out of your diet, the sugars down as much as you can, and get those insulin levels down. And so that may be some intermittent fasting for you, along with like the system has worked for me. So the detox, though, Acela, what I usually do is when I'm doing the detox, it just fits right in with everything else. So the Paraway tablets that you have in the morning, you're going to do 2 a day for the first 10 days. Then you're going to start doing 5 a day for the rest of the time, right? For the rest of the 30 days. So I just do those first thing in the morning. You guys, I'm a big proponent of not shoving too many different things in my body at once. If I want the full effect of something, I try to give it 20 minutes. So I'll add the bile salts and the enzymes about the same time, but I try not to add too much else so that those can do their job and be absorbed by the system. And then 20 minutes later, then maybe I'll add the rest of my vitamin and mineral regimen or after I eat something. But I try not to dump it all in together. I know some people do, but that's just my thing. So the Paraway Plus in the morning, I take that first thing when I get up. Then while I'm getting around and getting everything else ready and getting my tea made, by the time the 20 minutes is up, then I start drinking my tea. Then about an hour to 2 hours later, I'll have the second component of the detox, which is a whole different fiber called live fiber. It has like 27 different types of fiber in it. Those are there to help start pulling all of those toxins that you just released with the Paraway, which is like a Paragard type situation. It just helps get those all cleaned out of your system because you don't want to release them and then let them just kind of hang out. So I do that fiber in the morning just before I break my fast, and then I'll have my pre-meal drink 10 minutes before. Different set of fibers, right? You guys, fiber is not fiber, is not fiber, is not fiber. Every fiber has a different action. There's a reason our Paraway has 27 different types of fiber, and something like Benefiber and Metamucil have 1 and 2, and this has 7 different types of fiber because this is for sugars, and fats, and the Paraway is to clean you out. So, and our Paraway isn't much different from like Benefiber or Metamucil. So I mean, I have those here just as show it every once in a while. But if I'm going to do a fiber, you guys, I want something that's complete. So if I'm going to spend the money for something to just clean me out, I'm going to use our live fiber, and I usually keep it around anyway. So Paraway Plus in the morning, have my live fiber a few hours later. About an hour or so later, I'll have the balance and then have my meal. Okay. So that first part of the day is done. And then wait 6 hours, have my next meal with my next fiber. The added fibers are only going to help, by the way. And then before bed, I just take 1 to 2 of the aloe. It depends on how much I feel like I need to have that clean out. At the beginning, I wouldn't do 2 aloe at night. So the aloe is just a really gentle laxative to help anything that's left in your system continue to move out, and you just want to hydrate really well. It can be intense, so like days 3 and 4, I would definitely make sure that you're in a time, place, and situation where you can be near a bathroom. But is it worth it for your health? Yes. I've had people who had severe acne, and you can't do the cleanse. Don't do the cleanse for more than 3 months at a time. And again, it can be done right alongside the protocol, right while you're doing it. You don't have to stop doing the protocol to do the cleanse. But you don't want to do it for more than 3 months. However, there have been people like with severe cystic acne that was prevalent that they just couldn't get rid of who have done the cleanse and done it for a couple of months. And by the way, after the first month or so, it's not that bad. You'll notice if you get a hold of foods that are bad when you're on the cleanse, because it's going to tell you this was not a good food to eat. But yeah, it will help get some of that bacteria and whatnot out of your gut and rebalanced so that all of your health can get better. So skin issues show up a lot with that, brain fog, aches and pains, migraines, all can start to get better when you do the cleanse alongside the system. So I like it if you're thinking about doing it, like the long weekend, if you weren't going anywhere, that would have been a perfect time to start. But yeah, I would I would not start it on a Sunday and then expect to be happy on a Wednesday at work. I would start it like, for me, my personal preferences, I would start it on a Thursday. By Friday evening, I'm starting to have some distress, and Saturday, Sunday, I can tell that the thing is working and I want to be near a bathroom. Okay. What else? Because there's a lot of stuff, you guys. I don't have it all sitting here at my desk, which I need to clean my desk up today, but I do our CoQ10 because of my heart issues. I had such uncontrolled blood pressure for so many years that I don't focus on it because I'm also a very energetics kind of person. I don't want to give too much attention to a negative thing, but I want to be aware, right? So I know that my heart took a beating for years. Um, it was uncontrolled and running at 180 over 150 every single day since my early 30s, so about 20 years. So I just know that my heart needs a little tender loving care. So I take the CoQ10 for that. Keep the sugars down, keep the insulin down. That's going to help that. I also have ADD and autism, and so I do the omega 3s. Okay, so they're really good for brain function, and it's really helped not just me, but like my grandson who has severe ADHD. He's gotten so much better since doing the system and taking the omegas. Um, so yeah, those are kind of the things that I do for my health. When we look at, I was listening to a doctor talk about brain health and some of the things that he wanted you to get in, and a B complex was one for brain health. And so of course I ran to look because there's vitamins and minerals in the pre-meal drink that we do, and it does have a good B complex in there. So I'm like, yes, we're already doing most of the things, which makes after lunch. I take my omegas after lunch. So again, I try to break up what I'm doing throughout the day, and I could take my omegas in the morning, but I like my gut to be pretty empty in the morning outside of the tea. The omegas won't break your fast either, though. If you chose to take them in the morning, it's not going to hurt anything. But I take my omegas about midday, along with the CoQ10. Okay, so yeah, and I mean, you could take them at night, you could take them in the morning. I just like them about midday. And I've noticed a big change. Like I said this morning, it really hit home. Every once in a while, I have stories that are like, oh, wow, this is actually working. And I'm shocked by this. But yeah, to be sitting out on the porch, enjoying the rain and having a family member text me and ask me about an address from, gosh, 4 or 5 years ago. And I've moved multiple times since. I moved from that apartment to another apartment, to two different places in Washington and then here. And so keeping track of all of those was crazy. But when he said it, like it was at least, because your mind does not keep everything in the forefront, but at least it was able to pull it forward. And with that piece pulled forward, then the next piece pulled forward, and I was able to give him the entire address. Of course, I did use Google, but that's some mental acuity as well. So yes, to be honest, I think the only thing that I take that is not sold by Unicity is DHEA. Uh, as a postmenopausal woman, there's I do have some hormones that I'm dealing with, But everything else, if it goes in my body, because and why? Because I know that Unicity has full control of their products. Hey, Jason. Um, from start to finish. I know that I'm not getting stuff that's rancid or that's not even what it's supposed to be. I know that whatever I'm ingesting says is exactly what it says on the bottle. I know that, there's that quality to it. I know that there's a purity to it, that it doesn't have a lot of those other toxins and stuff in it. So all of my supplements come from Unicity for that reason. I just know that I can trust them. I was pretty particular about supplements beforehand. I was always very like, especially with proteins. You guys, I was the nut in the store, like looking at proteins. Like I want my best bang for my buck out of it. Does it have this? Does it have that? Does it have vitamins and minerals? Does it have, what are the ratios of this? And so I also use Our Protein. I have both the chocolate and the vanilla up in my cupboard. I don't take them daily. I use them as a supplement. So if I'm having a day where I'm having more carbohydrate food like pastas and stuff, then I'll add the protein to make sure I'm getting in enough protein for the day. But I don't do protein shakes on the daily now because there's a balance, right? Um, and you're going to hear different things from different people. I think most of us need to get in between 60 and 100 grams of protein. A lot of people that I work with are barely even getting in 20 to 30 grams of protein. So when I had this conversation with my son, he was thinking powerlifting, Misha, talking about protein and the amount of protein I would have to take in when I was powerlifting. And I'm like, no, that's not at all what I'm talking about. But the fact is that a lot of people just don't understand the importance of protein and the fact that they need it in their diet. Look, your muscles are built from protein. And this is where I go off the rails from most vegans, right? Because you can get some proteins from plant. Yes, you can. Do I particularly feel like it's the best source of protein for our makeup? No, I don't. So I do supplement with protein when I have days that I feel like I'm not getting enough in. But other than that, I just don't. I don't feel like I need to because I prioritize protein and healthy fats when I eat every day. And so when I look at my daily intake of protein yesterday in two meals, I was because I had uh, yesterday I had like four pork sausages for breakfast, two eggs over easy and a pear. That was breakfast. And then for dinner, I had a huge chicken breast. And I don't think I even had any greens last night. I was just very carnivorous last night. So when I look at my proteins, I had probably 80 to 100 grams of protein yesterday. No protein shake needed. They're there for me just to supplement what, like I said, I'm just going to repeat that. Protein shakes should be a supplement. You should be getting most everything you need in your daily food intake. That's the best way to get it in. Um, and protein is also going to help support weight loss because I've been talking about weight this week, which is not my favorite subject because I don't want people to focus so much on the weight, although you got to be healthy. But people are trying to lose weight and they're not getting enough protein, which means you're putting your muscle at risk. And why fats? I've heard so many people be so afraid of healthy fats. Uh, I and I love this. I learned this from Dr. Bickman because I didn't know this before, but he was telling us that okay, so you have your muscle cell, right? And people are out there lifting weights and doing things. Everybody's really trying to be healthy and lean. Great. But lean doesn't mean not eating fats because the membrane around the muscle cells is actually fat. So when you're trying to be a low fat diet and yet, so low fat, high protein, lots of workouts, what happens is the muscle gets so full, especially if you're adding creatine, something that's adding extra fluid to the muscle. This is why we're ending up with people having rhabdomyolysis because that muscle is growing past the extent that the cell membrane, the membrane around it can stretch, and so that then explodes and the muscle kind of just explodes out of the membrane. So if you want healthy membrane, be able to grow your muscles as big as you want or as not big as you want, but still keep it healthy, you got to have healthy fats in there. That's what builds that membrane. That was super interesting information to me. Made a lot of sense as to why I see some things happening with people. So, yes, have enough protein in your day, especially if you're trying to build muscle, you're going to have more protein. But most of us just don't get enough protein as it is, and that's it's crazy because it's just the way the diet industry has trained us, right? So I see people, I'll ask people, what did you eat today? Because they're complaining that, not complaining, I shouldn't say that word, expressing frustration that they don't feel like they're getting where they need to. Um, you don't need that many carbs. Your body's going to pull some glycogen out of the protein that you eat. You do need some carbs, but you don't need that many carbs to build muscle. You don't. Um, that's why there's so many people who are so successful with ketosis, keto diet. I used to do keto diet for years while I was a powerlifting athlete and built a tremendous amount of muscle and was able to win 4 world championships. And I kept my carbs below 50 grams of carbohydrates every day. I would be interested to see if you have a different opinion. I would be interested to see a scientific study that says you have to have a lot of carbs to build muscle. Anytime anybody has a different opinion, I'm open to hearing. I just want to see the science behind it, um, and that's that. But from what Dr. Bickman, Dr. Fung says, so the carbs I ate, I got to think back. So a lot, my again, I'm a big chicken eater. I would eat a lot of chicken. Um, Spinach were the carbs that I ate. A lot of spinach because I could get some good greens in without a lot of carbohydrates. I didn't eat a lot of like breads or any of that kind of thing. I didn't eat a lot of fruits. Most of my carbohydrates came from vegetables. So sometimes I would have tomato and onion. Like I would do a big sirloin burger with tomatoes, onion, spinach. Um, I would make my own ketchup so it didn't have as much sugar in it and some mustard. I didn't ever really use mayo during that time because it's too much carbohydrates. Avocado for great fats, but yeah, that's for me. That's pretty much what my carbohydrates were. Some broccoli once in a while because there were those cruciferous or dark leafy greens that are getting so many other nutrients in without adding huge amounts of carbohydrates. Now I eat whatever the hell I want. I just use my tools to help me manage them. So, um, like I didn't break into it, but my daughter-in-law loves pumpkin. And the other day at the store that I love up the hill, um, they had a pumpkin loaf or something or pumpkin bread something, and I was going to get some for her, but when I went back the next day, it was gone. So I was up there last night getting some greens, and I saw that they had a pumpkin loaf, so I bought one for her. I'll probably share it with her tomorrow night. But yeah, I have that stuff when I want it now. I just focus on proteins, fats, getting my fiber in first, and then limiting my carbs. So yesterday I didn't have a lot of carbs at all. I think the most carbs I had was in the pear that I ate, but that's just how I eat. That's just how I am. I hope that answers. So yeah, you guys, I think when we're doing weight loss, and I wanted to bring this up too, when you're insulin resistant, and remember 93% of us have a metabolic disorder or some type of insulin problem. When we start trying to lose weight, we're losing as an insulin resistant person, you're more likely to lose more muscle than fat when you're doing normal diet anyway. So now in the effort of losing that weight, you're losing muscle and lean tissue that you actually need. And so that's part of the reason I love the system is that it's putting fibers and nutrients back in. So it actually reverses that. So now you're losing more fat and regaining muscle as you become more insulin sensitive. Isela, she usually make chicken and veggies or fish and salad. Yeah, those are great. So I've been studying a lot of the doctors who are talking about food as medicine. Dr. Lee talks about that. Of course, Dr. Bickman, Dr. Fung, Dr. Pardeep. There's two Dr. Yao. So anyway, some foods that they're saying. Do you guys want to know some of the foods that they're saying for weight loss and for insulin sensitivity? Some of them are kind of crazy, but it's amazing. So I've been trying to implement those. That's why I'm putting pears in. By the way, the chlorogenic acids that are in here, you can find those in pears. And I will try to do a full video on chlorogenic acids. I got to listen to Dr. Lee again and do some more research. Chlorogenic acids blows my mind. The little bit that I talk about with them every day, why this is so good for us, is insane now that I'm understanding more about chlorogenic acids just and how they're so good for the brain and the metabolism, um, inflammation, all of that. Pears are high in chlorogenic acids, high in fiber, low in fructose. So pears are one of those things. If you're going to do fruits, we all know berries, right? Especially wild caught blueberries, but berries are great. But even above berries, according to these guys, are pears. Pears. And I don't know about you guys, but I have always had a thing for pears. So that was like, yay, hallelujah to me. Because I had to give up pineapple and bananas and stuff. Oh, well, I'm talking about that, bananas. How many of you guys are putting bananas in your protein shakes? I used to. How many of you guys are doing that? So, when you put bananas in your protein shakes and you're running them through the blender, anytime you're making a smoothie or taking that fruit and putting it through a blender or a juicer is removing the fibers, right? Which then is going to spike your sugar. So no fruit juice. Please don't do fruit juice. That's just like so toxic in our systems. Um, but when you even add a banana to a protein shake, what you're doing is you're breaking down the little bit of fibers that are left, because bananas used to be extremely fibrous and they had these pebble-like seeds in them. We've modified all that out. So there is some fiber in bananas, but not what they're supposed to be. And then when you put them in a blender to put them in your protein shake, you're breaking down those fibers. So now what you're doing is you're bypassing systems of enzymes and whatnot in your body that need to activate so that you can digest those more properly and slow down the digestion of that high amount of fructose that you're getting with the banana. So it's making the banana fructose go too quickly into your system and spiking your insulin higher than it needs to. So again, bananas, you want them for energy, great. Eat them. Don't blend them into your protein shakes. Does that make sense? That's something, I mean, these are things I've been learning this week. But so we went back to the fruit. Oh, salmon. You guys, we've all heard about how good salmon is for you. So both for your metabolism and if you're trying to lose weight, the omega-3s in them are great. If you're being fairly clean with your diet and you're not having problems with other heavy metals, have salmon. They're saying about 3 times a week. That's going to help boost your metabolism, get those omega-3s in you, help you start getting more fat adapted where you're burning fat for fuel. And it's just really great for this whole insulin sensitivity thing. One of the doctors said if you don't want to do salmon all the time, shrimp would be the next thing. So, I'm running up to get some shrimp and I'm going to do a salad with like a cilantro lime dressing and some grilled shrimp on it. That sounds freaking amazing to me. Like you don't have to suffer when you eat, okay? Um, Chicken is good, but to be honest, for protein and fat and nutrients, red meats just can't be beat. I'm not a huge fan. I get them in when I can. I'm a chicken eater, but I have to admit that I could probably do better with red meat, and that's not causing your cholesterol problem, by the way. It's the sugar you're eating with it that's causing the cholesterol problem. So another trick food they said is capers, those little flower buds you find in a jar. Have those a couple of times a week. That's supposed to help with your metabolism. And navy beans, not red beans, not black beans, not kidney beans, not Great Northern, navy beans. They have a component in them that helps slow down the breakdown of sugar in your system. It helps you feel fuller longer. It helps you with your leptin and ghrelin signaling, so you understand when you're full better. They're saying navy beans about three quarters of a cup, 4 to 5 times a week. And you guys, they taste, I love the way navy beans taste, just straight with a little salt and pepper next to salmon, chicken, whatever. And it's really good for you. So those are some foods that you can add in this whole quest, that you might not have thought about. Okay. So any other questions, guys? I'm about ready to go make my breakfast. Again, I'm pretty simple. Like, look, it's just me in this house. So when I buy food, if I can't eat it up in a few days, it goes bad. So I eat a lot of the same things, but that's also my personality. I've always been that way. You could change it up. Like every once in a while, I like quiche a lot for breakfast. I used to make quiches all the time, a lot of eggs, add some extra protein in there. I would put spinach and whatnot in for some healthy greens. You guys, it doesn't have to be suffering. Thank you, Sally. You don't have to suffer through your food choices. We just have to understand that the food choices that we're being given are not what we're supposed to have in our bodies. And so, again, a number of other scientists and doctors are starting to say that our food is actually foreign to our bodies because of how modified it's been, and our bodies are just having a hard time understanding what to do with them. So, one more time, I'm going to say this is why I love the system so much, because this tea in the morning and this pre meal drink that I have before I eat anything is helping to reverse that. It's helping to put enough of those nutrients back in when I eat so that my body can recognize the food, which, and food, although we all love some tasty food, food really is fuel for us, for our energy, for our bodies to grow healthy tissues, healthy brain cells. So I love this because it's helping my body deal with whatever's coming in and make it more recognizable in our bodies. So, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me again this morning. I am not sure that I'll be here at 3:30 today, because or 3 today, because it's Sunday. I'm usually here at 3 on Monday through Friday, but I have a lot of work to do and some research to do so I can bring you guys some more information. I love you all. Thanks for hanging out, listening to me ramble. Thanks for those of you guys. Isela, thanks for all the amazing questions. And Alex, that makes my world go round, because I don't want to just talk to myself. I like when you guys ask questions. Have a great day.